Speaking of a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside Enigma, such may be said currently of the Republican Party. Some common questions to float by you concerning the GOP. Where is it? Does it exist? What's it doing? Do we even have one anymore? News of disarray and infighting have plagued the GOP since the 2008 election win by Democrats. To talk about this further, candidate for Congress, Adam Kokesh. Mr. Kokesh, let me go straight to the questions with you. Give us some details about the state of the current GOP now as you see it, since I believe you were a member of it yourself.
Yes, and I am running as a Republican. I'm proud to be running as a Republican and working to rebuild a party of big tent, smaller government that Reagan envisioned and be more inclusive in how the party brings people together around a true message of liberty and getting back to constitutional government. But you're right that the Republican Party is in an awkward place right now, and there is a certain divide that we see with the Tea Party movement, and we see a certain xenophobia among the leadership resisting new candidates like myself that bring new energy into the party, resisting candidates like Rand Paul, as we saw in Kentucky with the switching endorsements by James Dobson there, calling out the GOP leadership for lying to him about some of Rand's positions in order to keep him out. And we've seen that kind of struggle as there's this new energy being brought into the party from the Tea Party movement, which was an issue coalition against taxes that was really bringing people together. And the leadership that is, some of the leadership is embracing that and trying to bring that in and help build the party, and some of it is resisting it because they see it as a threat to the established order.
Since you brought up the topic of James Dobson and Rand Paul, since most of people outside Kentucky may not really necessarily know the specifics about that, briefly tell us what the whole controversy surrounding Dr. Dobson and Rand Paul is.
Right. Well, Rand Paul is a constitutional conservative running the Republican primary to represent Kentucky in the U.S. Senate. And James Dobson is a famous religious leader in the United States who came out and, as he said himself, based on misleading information from the Republican Party leadership, endorsed Rand's opponent. And when he found out that he had been lied to in something that is really unprecedented in modern politics, came out and just days later switched his endorsement very proudly, very vocally back to Rand Paul to endorse him because he knew that he was a candidate that really represented him, what he believed in. But what we had in Rand's opponent was actually a former government, a former Democrat, a big government kind of neoconservative type Republican, and that kind of represents the old guard. But we're seeing the same thing here in New Mexico, and we're seeing nationally that there is a certain corruption at the highest levels of the Republican Party that we, the grassroots, we, the base of the party, are up against in trying to make the Republican Party a winnable force in politics again. And I'm running as a Republican. I'm very proud of that. But I'd be the first one to tell you the national leadership of the Republican Party is just as corrupt as the Democrats at this point. And if we don't face up to that, we're not going to be able to do anything about it.
You beat me to the punch here. I was going to ask you about that. As a fresh, young Republican, and seeing the Republican of the previous years, let's say previous decades ago, I mean, how do you reconcile all of this, being a proud Republican yourself, and how do you feel about the state of affairs when it comes to the Republican Party, especially when you consider all these little divisions, all these little cracks in the wall that seem to be appearing within the party?
Well, I don't know about cracks in the wall, but there is a certain resistance of the young Republicans, of the new energy that's coming in, and it's frustrating. It's very frustrating at times to see that our message resonates with the base of the party and the leadership rejects that. And so, but like I said, there's a division more within the leadership there as well, where some of them are embracing this, some of this realize that this is the future of the party and they want to make us feel included, and there's some that are resisting. So it cuts both ways, but that's politics, and that's part of the fight. And I think what I'm learning from this experience for myself is that politics really is about coalition building. If you want to make change in what we have as a democratic constitutional republic here, you have to bring people in. You have to bring people together around a message. And with our message of constitutional government, of localism, of respecting the rights of individuals, of empowering communities to be more involved in politics again and have a greater say in the decisions that affect them, we are bringing people together, and in some ways having to show the Republican Party, hey, this is how it's done. If you want to build a coalition, you want to make change, you want to stand up against Obama, Pelosi, and Reid, and the people that want more power to be concentrated in the hands of the federal government. But we do have to acknowledge that this is based on the last couple decades, this is a significant change for the Republican Party that so many times supported policies that actually put more power not just in the hands of the federal government, but in the executive branch specifically, which is very dangerous, contrary to the ideals of liberty and contrary to what our founders set forth for this country in our Constitution.
You know, you brought up a notion that was very novel, in my opinion. You said that, I mean, as you continue in your quest to become a member of Congress, that this is about coalition building. Key word there, and a very, very refreshing thought, to say the least, especially in light of the current political climate, which is so divisive. I mean, you know, how do you think that's going to stand for you? I mean, do you think this is going to be successful, this notion of coalition building? Or do you think that the partisan politics are just going to continue dividing people left and right?
Well, the one thing that's bringing people together with our message and our campaign is the idea of localism. For example, I've got Farmington in my district, which is a very conservative oil and gas town, and I've got Santa Fe, where I live, the city different, which is, characterized as very liberal. Of course, I really like to reject the whole, left-right political spectrum, because it's just one of those things that has been used traditionally to keep us divided and manipulated, if not divided and conquered in the political sense. And while I couldn't get these two communities to agree on much in terms of specific policy or political philosophy or approach to government, they all agree that they should have the power to determine those things for themselves in their communities. And that's very empowering and bringing people together. And that's the kind of coalition we're building. And that's something that we're finding resonates across the political spectrum, resonates across America. And we have people going, we were just waiting for someone, who's running for office to come out and say this and make us feel empowered and feel like we can be part of the process again.
Okay. Well, congressional candidate Adam Kokesh, thank you for joining us. Really refreshing thoughts, and good luck to you.